I call Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to pay tribute to the member for Hanua, who is coming to the end of a fine political career. And although he was highly regarded by the people in the Hanua district, he stood up, at least, sir, the member for Hanua, he stood up briefly and articulated the fears and concerns of his constituents. He did it once, and then he was steamrolled by the National Party, and since then he's been very, very quiet about how the people of Hanua feel about the super city, sir. And this bill that we are debating tonight, it reflects the concerns and the fears that the people in that member's electorate have about the way the National Act government have shafted democracy in Auckland. And if there's one man that Dr. Paul Hutchinson has to blame for the impending finale of his political career, it's Rodney Hyde. Rodney Hyde was set up by this government to do its dirty work. They gave him the job of restructuring Auckland governance, sir, because they thought that he would be able to do this very dangerous, high-risk job, and he would attract all the political flack, and then when things got out of hand, they'd just be able to say, the Prime Minister would be able to shrug and say, oh, that's just Rodney Hyde, it's not us. But what's happened, sir, is that Rodney Hyde's credibility as the Minister of Local Government, the Minister responsible for creating the Auckland Super City, is so utterly tarnished and damaged. And not just because of what he's done to Auckland democracy, sir, but there is a list of things as long as your arm that have destroyed the credibility of the Minister of Local Government. And I'm not going to detail that full list, sir, because I think the House and New Zealanders who are listening will know that he is the most damaged man in New Zealand politics. But the consequence of the damage to Rodney Hyde's credibility has been that the Auckland reforms are completely tarnished in the eyes of Aucklanders. And Rodney Hyde's political carcass is hanging around the neck of this government. And the people of Franklin, the people who asked for this bill to be brought to the House, they regret it, sir. They regret that they were dragged kicking and screaming by Rodney Hyde into the Auckland Super City. And the belated and rather modest attempts that Dr. Paul Hutchinson made to express their concerns didn't make the slightest bit of difference. The people of Franklin, like the people of Rodney and like the people right across the Auckland Isthmus, sir, are disillusioned and disenchanted. And there are plenty of reasons why they are. And it's not just because, as this bill initially attempted to deal with, it's not because they were roped into paying a certain amount every year through their rates for institutions like the Museum of Transport and Technology or the Auckland War Memorial Museum, sir. It's because they have lost their democratic voice in local government. Through the setting up of CCOs by the National and Act government, 75% of local government has been corporatised. And the member, Stephen Joyce, was responsible for insisting at Cabinet against the advice of Treasury and two other government departments to corporatise transport, sir, and that is the very thing that the people of Franklin resent because it's been imposed on them. He insisted on an undemocratic corporate model for the transport agency, which is going to spend more than half the rates of the people of Franklin. And what Democrats say will they have over his corporate jack-up of a super city? They will have very little say, sir, and that's why the people of Franklin are concerned. The other reason they're concerned is that they are worried that they will lose their voice, that they will lose the identity of the region of Franklin in this super city. And they have good reason to be afraid, because this government, this Act national government, have taken away the powers of local communities. They've set up these toothless local boards that have no ability to make bylaws. Stephen Joyce's transport agency has the ability to make bylaws, and it's run by a bunch of hand-picked corporate directors. The people of Franklin, their local board under this super city, won't even have the ability to make a bylaw. They have to get on their knees and beg the Auckland Council to make a bylaw for the region of Franklin. Well, how democratic is that? No wonder they're ticked off, sir. What else are the people of Franklin concerned about? They, like the majority of Aucklanders who have told recent opinion polls, believe that their rates are going to go up because of the Rodney Hyde, John Key supercity. And sir, you have to imagine that they're going to have good grounds for concerning that. Rodney Hyde's been going around town, sir, saying that the user charges are going to go down under his supercity, that the cost of having your dog registered in the New Auckland will cost $70. Well, the people of Franklin currently pay $60 to have their dog registered. Rodney Hyde's going around boasting that building inspectors are going to cost $110 an hour in the New Auckland supercity. Well, I've got news for you. In Franklin, Dr. Hutchinson, people pay no more than $112, but often as low as $73 for a building inspector. Well, you're going to have to go a long way to convince the people of Franklin that they're getting a good deal under this supercity. The other thing that they're concerned about are their water rates. And Rodney Hyde's gone around for the last couple of weeks saying that
we're a long way away from museums.
That the people of Franklin, sir, and the costs that they are going to have to pay under the supercity, which is what this bill originally set out to address, the costs that they were going to pay through their rates for being part of the wider Auckland. We know that it's the policy of this government and of Citizens and Ratepayers, the National Party proxy in Auckland, to roll out user pays charging for wastewater. That's what people are concerned about. They're worried that their wastewater charges are going to go through the roof. And the people in Franklin, sir, are extremely concerned about that. We know, sir, that the recent polls tell us that a solid 50% of Aucklanders don't want the supercity. They don't like it, they don't trust it. Well, the last poll that was done in Franklin showed that 90% of people in Franklin, 90%, Dr. Hutchinson, do not want the supercity. 90%. Now, that's almost twice as much as the number of people in Auckland. So I think that the member for Hanua is going to have a very hard job explaining to his electors how he went into bat for them, how he represented their democratic interests when the next election comes round. The other issue that really grates on people, sir, is not only the fact that in Franklin the people on the Waikato side of the old boundary had to pay a share of the contribution to the museums, was that people in Franklin care about their publicly owned assets like the ports of Auckland, and they care about vital infrastructure. This government is obviously setting up those assets to be privatised, and we saw that, sir, with the third supercity bill removing the democratic right that Aucklanders have to approve in a referendum before the ports of Auckland can be sold off. Well, this government legislated that right away because they don't care about people having the right to make a decision about whether their assets are privatised. And sir, that's why in the local body elections that are currently going on, people of Franklin are expressing their concern. They want to vote for candidates who will save the assets from privatisation and who won't flog them off to overseas owners. We've recently seen, sir, the kind of shonky behind-the-scenes decision-making that Aucklanders have come to fear and the people of Franklin have come to fear with this supercity. We've seen this government putting out to tender a new computer system for the Auckland supercity, sir, that is costing $62 million, and they didn't put it out to tender. And this is exactly the kind of concern that the people of Franklin have for the way their rates are being spent. It's what motivated them, sir, to ask for this bill to be brought to the House. And what do we see? We see shonky mates rates behaviour by the hand-picked mates of the National Party who have been put in place to run the New Auckland Council. And what do? They let a contract for computers for $62 million without putting it out to tender. And I predict, sir, that this is the kind of behaviour we will see more of. It's exactly what the people of Franklin feared. And all the way along, not only the fact that they've been forced to pay for these museum levies, sir, but the people of Franklin, like the people of wider Auckland, were never given a say on the supercity. They were never given any choice, they weren't listened to, and they were treated with contempt by this government.
Very good.